I begin the show today from a place of absolute disgust. If you woke up this morning and took a look at what any of the top stories were, or looked at the front pages of any mainstream corporate media outlet, do you know what you didn't find? Donald Trump being linked to Jeffrey Epstein. Donald Trump being mentioned 38,000 times in the 3 million document dump. No mention of not unverified information, but interviews with young women and the FBI discussing being served to Donald Trump like, as Virginia Guffrey said, like a platter of fruit. You see, what I realized today is that America is sick. This country has been sick, though, for a long, long time. And the fact that now we have a pedocracy, a government run by pedophiles and those that protect them, I'm looking around and I'm wondering where the outrage is. And it doesn't seem that we have any. We love to talk about what is happening in other countries to women and girls, but we don't spend nearly enough time talking about the invisibilizing that we do of women and young girls in this country, particularly those that have been victims of sexual assault, rape, incest, and violence. Because depending on who the perpetrator is, we just look the other way because money talks and power, well, we all know what happens with monsters in power. Buckle up, dear friends. It is time for the Danielle Moodie Show. So happy you're here. I genuinely never thought, honestly, and maybe this was me being naive, I never thought that pedophilia, torture of children, potential cannibalism would be a partisan issue. In my mind, violence against children, sexual violence against children was like that issue that we could all, meet in the middle of. Evidently, though, when we discuss the Overton window and how Donald Trump has pushed us damn near over a cliff, he's done that not only with our body politic, but with our morality as well. You see, when I say that America is sick, I mean we are morally deficient at this point. Because again, the fact that when I looked at the New York Times, the Washington Post, USA Today, the LA Times, Boston Globe, when I looked at the papers today, none of them had major headlines in A1 above the fold for those that remember actually physically holding on to a paper of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, of Donald Trump being mentioned 38,000 times in this latest drop. The latest, and according to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, evidently the last drop that we are going to see, even though Todd Blanche said over the weekend that he has gone through at least 6 million different files, and yet we've only supposedly received 3 million of them. And I kept thinking to myself today, and I put up a short that is available now on YouTube and a write up on Substack, where I said to myself, folks, what we have seen thus far in the Epstein files is reprehensible. It is grotesque. It is descriptions of monster, demonic, cruel, disgusting behavior. And what I thought to myself is, if that is what they wanted us to see, if that is what they dropped, then can you imagine what is being withheld? Like, think about it. In all of the things that we have seen that have made news, and I mean independent news, because at this point, like mainstream corporate media, y'all are just involved. Y'all are just accomplices at this point. If that is what they wanted us to see, just think for a moment what is left. The videos, the pictures, the affidavits, the deep and detailed descriptions of sexual abuse, torture, and those that laughed about it. Do you know that Todd Blanche evidently went on Laura Ingram's show and said that it isn't a crime to, quote, party with Epstein? Yeah, he actually said it. He said it multiple times on her show, in fact, that it wasn't a crime to send emails to Jeffrey Epstein or party with Jeffrey Epstein, because according to the Deputy Attorney General of these United States, setting up sex appointments, rape appointments with children for high-powered men is what he refers to as partying. They're so excited, and we'll get to it in a moment. Republicans are patting themselves on the back that the Clintons are coming in to testify this month in a closed-door session that'll be video recorded and transcribed with regard to Jeffrey Epstein. Do you know who's not mentioned 38,000 times in the file drop? Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. And yet somehow, just the mere mention of Bill Clinton's name and photographs are enough to summon, for the first time ever, a former president in to sit before the House Oversight Committee. But the sitting president of the United States, who's been mentioned 38,000 times, apparently we're supposed to just believe that that's just a coincidence. And there's just much to do about nothing. Donald Trump has engaged in what would seem alleged pedophilia activities. And we are all just kind of moving along here as if this shit is normal. Like, the New York Times is posting about Walmart hitting $1 trillion, because that's what's more important than the fact that a sitting president of the United States is mentioned 38,000 times in the files of a convicted pedophile and sex trafficker. I can think honestly of no other news. And yet, here we are. Ed Krasenstein writes this. Wow. No one found this horrific Donald Trump mention in the Epstein files because it was a handwritten letter that wasn't indexed properly by the DOJ. How convenient. This woman alleges that Donald Trump was involved with Jeffrey Epstein in the sale of young women to the sex trafficking ring of Epstein and the Saudis. She also claims that Trump forced her to miscarriage after she got pregnant. See the entire page letter on the DOJ website, and there you have the location and the PDF. I'm sorry, what? There is a handwritten letter from a woman who claims that Donald Trump was involved in the sale of young women to the sex trafficking ring of Epstein and the Saudis. Does anybody remember where Jared Kushner received $2 billion from following his time in the first Trump administration? That would be Mohammed bin Salman, the prince of Saudi Arabia. You know, the murderer who killed Jamal Khashoggi and dismembered him. That Mohammed bin Salman. You know, the man who Donald Trump brought to his gaudy ass Oval Office, gleefully like a kid, just tickled by the fact that MBS was sitting next to him. You know, that group of Saudis. So, is it shocking to anyone that no one in mainstream media has decided to do, oh, I don't know, a fucking investigation into Donald Trump and his family's links to the Saudis beyond the obvious grifting corruption around money laundering, but also now the potential sale of young girls, meaning that the current president of the United States is being alleged to be a sex trafficker. And no one thinks for a moment in the press that maybe this is front page news and not Walmart. Just a thought. We move on. Here's Representative Jim McGovern. This isn't some anonymous tip. This is sworn testimony under penalty of perjury from someone who said Trump threatened to kill her if she exposed Epstein's sexual abuse. Let me make this a little bit larger. I personally witnessed defendant Trump telling the plaintiff that she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear, like the 12-year-old female, redacted, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. After leaving the employment of Mr. Epstein in the year 2000, I was personally threatened by Mr. Epstein that I would be killed and my family killed as well if ever disclosed any of the physical and sexual abuse of minor females that I had personally witnessed by Mr. Epstein and any of his guests. I am coming forward to swear to the truthfulness of the physical and sexual abuse that I personally witnessed of minor females at the hands of Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein, including the plaintiff, during the time of my employment from the years of 1990 to 2000 for Mr. Epstein. I swear to these facts under the penalty of perjury, even though I fully understand that the life of myself and my family is now in grave danger. I declare under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct. Someone explain to me, like I'm 5, why that snippet of this woman, Tiffany Doe pseudonym, which is a pseudonym that Tiffany Doe's sworn testimony isn't the front page story of every fucking paper in these United States. Someone explain to me how there is any other news story that is worthy of A1 other than the fact that inside of the 3 million files that mention Donald Trump, Mar-a-Lago, Melania Trump, and other areas associated with Trump 38,000 times, that this, I'm going to read it again because, folks, I swear to fucking God, I feel insane today. I really do. The woman writes, I personally witnessed defendant Trump telling the plaintiff that she shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear like the 12-year-old female blank, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. After leaving the employment of Mr. Epstein in the year 2000, I was personally threatened by Mr. Epstein that I would be killed and my family killed as well if I ever disclosed any of the physical and sexual abuse of minor females that I had personally witnessed by Mr. Epstein or any of his guests. I am coming forward to swear to the truthfulness of the physical and sexual abuse that I personally witnessed of minor females at the hands of Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein, including the plaintiff, during the time of my employment from the years of 1990 to 2000 for Mr. Epstein. I swear to these facts under penalty of perjury, even though I fully understand that the life of myself and my family is now in grave danger. I just I don't understand, but I do understand. So when I say that I don't understand, oh no, I deeply understand. And we all deeply understand that this cabal that originated out of the ideas of the tinfoil hat set that said that there were pedophiles that were running government, but they just wanted to associate these schemes, this cabal, with just Democrats and take down all these Democrats as if the Republicans were sitting on high. They were sitting on high on all of the shit that they shoved under the rug that they've been trying to hide. This, my dear friends, is the most bipartisan cabal that you could ever imagine. And why isn't it being covered to the extent that Joe Biden's age was covered? It's because they're all involved. It's because David Brooks, who told us that there was much to do about nothing in the New York Times, was mentioned in the Epstein files. It's because of the fact that, oh, everyone from the CEOs of banks to former princes to Saudi royalty to tech giants are all part of this cabal, to Hollywood stars and directors. It cuts so deep and goes so far. And so the only thing that they can do then is just pretend we're all making this up. Pretend that, oh, because they want to put up words like unverified, that then we should just turn away and look someplace else. This is the place to look because I want to know. The FBI sure as fuck knows who the 12-year-old girl is whose name was redacted, that was disappeared. Anyone want to look into that? Anyone want to dig up any parts of Donald Trump's golf courses just to make sure that Ivana is the only one that is buried there? Anyone want to dig up around fucking Epstein's estates? No, they don't. Because you see, once you pull the thread, the whole shit, the whole global power order is going to unravel. So they'd rather not pull it. They'd rather give you drips and drabs and show you pictures of Bill Gates and Bill Clinton and, email exchanges by the disgusting Deepak Chopra talking about a fucking beautiful 9-year-old. They'd rather give you those dribs and drabs of other people, like follow the bouncing ball and sensationalize it to the point where, oh, well, if everyone is in the Epstein files, then no one can actually be held to account. That's the reality that we're working with. That's their mindset. Well, if everybody is mentioned, then effectively no one is mentioned because, as the Deputy Attorney General said, you can't be held accountable for partying with Jeffrey Epstein. And my follow-up question would have been like, what do you constitute as partying? Watching young girls be paraded naked in front of you? Is that your idea of partying? Oh, I'm just there as a bystander? No, you are an accessory to a fucking crime. It is the just collective shrug of Todd Blanche, of this wayward Department of Justice, of the media, that has me know that the little bits that we have seen that have made our stomachs turn, that I don't know if we'd be able to get out of bed if we actually knew the full truth and knew all who was involved. But we do know that the president that is shitting himself in the Oval Office, and I mean that literally, is at the center. And I've said this before, I don't care. I don't care if Mother Teresa and the current Pope are inside the Epstein files. I say bring them all the fuck down. Because to me, the abuse of children, the abuse of people shouldn't be a bipartisan issue. It's a human issue. And what makes me fucking sick is that these people that wanted to create entities like Focus on the Family are the same people that are rolling back the age of consent in red states, that tell you that books are dangerous and don't allow your children to read them. But my, oh my, can't they get a work order to work in a factory at 12 years old and get married by 16? This country is sick. And you know what somebody said to me in the comment section today on Substack? They said, Danielle, this country has always been steeped in pedophilia. They're like, just look no further than Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings. And I had to stop. And I was like, oh, you're damn right. You mean the fairy tale that was made up that wanted us to believe that Thomas Jefferson and Sally Hemings were in love? That the 14-year-old child, black girl that he owned and was raping against her will, that somehow manifested into some sick, twisted love story that has been told for centuries. There is no love story when you own another person that has no choice and no bodily autonomy. Thomas Jefferson was a grown-ass man. Sally Hemings was 14. But America concocted a bullshit love story to make you believe in the humanity of one of the founding fathers, who all of whom owned human beings, abused them, tortured them, raped them, killed them. Storytelling is important because there's power in it. And what you realize as you get older is all the ways you've been gaslit and lied to all throughout your schooling. Believing in these stories of absolute depravity. Lifting up these men that, oh, I don't know, George Washington knocked the teeth out of one of the human beings that he owned and put them in his own mouth. And then you want to tell me that cannibalism is so far off? The rot is deep. The sickness is generational. Mm-mm-mm. Then there was this, because it seems so interesting to me that so many people in Epstein's circle, himself included, have committed suicide. So odd. Kind of the same way that you look at the sociopathic behavior of Sean Diddy Combs and realize that everyone around him is dead. And now that he's in jail and we've been hip to his life and lifestyle of violence, sexual violence, physical violence, emotional violence. Now you start to connect the dots together. Take a listen to this.
So Ed posted a video right here yesterday showing a man on what appears to be Jeffrey Epstein's plane with a bunch of young women. Well, we've just been able to identify who this man is, and his name is Nathi Tetwa. He was the former South African ambassador to France before he died in 2025. Now, listen to this.
The Mtetwa family says there are still unanswered questions about the circumstances of the death of South Africa's ambassador to France, Nathi Mtetwa. He was found dead in France earlier this week after falling, apparently from the 22nd floor of a hotel in Paris.
The Epstein files just keep getting more and more interesting.
How do you accidentally fall from a hotel room that's on the 22nd floor? And so I just, so many people are dead. So many people have been disappeared, all with little strings attached to them from the web of Epstein. And the person who knows a whole lot is Ghislaine Maxwell, sitting in a minimum security prison now, being treated to the best of the best by this administration. Now, I know Donald Trump is itching to pardon her, But that would send his base, I think, over a cliff. But don't you worry your pretty head. She's being taken care of. And it just, again, I say, this cabal spans multiple administrations. We're talking about crimes going back to the 90s. 30 years. It's a lot of presidents and administrations. And yet, we're hoping that this one, the one with the president at the center of it, is going to release any type of information. And again, the information that has been released is sickening. And yet, not front page news. Ask yourself why. Moving on for the moment to this. Trump urges Republicans to nationalize elections. What does that mean? Interesting. Because again, Donald Trump's approval ratings are hovering around the toilet at 30 some odd percent. All of the special elections being held in deep red states are being flipped by Democrats. And so Donald Trump is doing what any dictator would do, who is wildly unpopular and is giving his party nothing to actually run on, except tax breaks for the wealthy, the gutting of Medicaid and SNAP and our education system, all of these things in order to fund the tax breaks for his pedophilia circle. So logically, as the dictator that he said he would be on day one and has been living up to that, he says, nationalize elections. Okay, so let's unpack what that means according to USA Today. Trump has called for nationalizing voting, the latest in a series of proposed election changes, or just undoing our democracy altogether. Trump spoke with former FBI director Dan Bongino on his podcast because, that's the natural thing that you do when you leave the FBI. You go back to doing what you did before, which is just spreading lies. As his administration continues to claim fraud in the 2020 presidential election despite lacking evidence, he accused Democrats without evidence of bringing migrants to the U.S. to vote, though only U.S. citizens are allowed to vote in federal and state elections. The Republicans should say, we want to take over. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places, Trump said. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting. We have states that are so crooked. No evidence of any of the things that he is saying, but there is deep evidence that he has lost the fucking plot. So what does it mean to nationalize an election? The U.S. election system is decentralized. There are more than 10,000 election jurisdictions in the U.S., including counties and townships, and each state has its own election official and set of rules for administrating elections. The election clause of the U.S. Constitution states the, quote, times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, meaning it's a states' rights issue. You know how much they love states' rights, right? Though Congress may make or alter regulations, the president is elected through a state elector system, and while the number of elections is set, the way those electors are chosen is largely up to the state and political party. To nationalize voting would likely be a departure from this, though. Trump did not go into specifics because he has none, because he is batshit fucking crazy. Asked to elaborate, White House spokesperson and I guess main liar next to bobblehead Barbie, Abigail Jackson, said in a statement the following: Trump cares deeply about the safety and security of our elections. That's why he's urged Congress to pass the SAVE Act and other legislative proposals that would establish a uniform standard of voter ID for voting, prohibit no excuse mail-in voting, and end the practice of ballot harvesting. You know, the mail-in voting that he has himself only used, and establish an ID. Why isn't your driver's license enough? And also, again, you have voter registration rolls where people register to vote. Ask me how many times there has been fraudulent voting in this country. I can tell you on one hand, and let me tell you again, who is always at the center of the fraudulent voting? Republicans. But I'll go on. White House Press Secretary Bobblehead Barbie was asked about the podcast comments on February 3rd and said Trump was referring to the SAVE Act, which, by the way, he didn't mention at all. He didn't mention any act. He just said Republicans should nationalize voting. But in their wonderful gaslighting that they do on a regular basis, they want to sane wash this president into making some type of fucking sense, as if he knows what a policy is or isn't. It's incredible. It's incredible the lengths that these women go to clean up this shit show. And I mean that literally and figuratively. The president believes in the U.S. Constitution, Bobblehead said. However, he believes there has obviously been a lot of fraud and irregularities that have taken place in American elections. The only irregularity is the fact that people were stupid enough to vote for that motherfucker twice. I digress. But like I say, even a broken racist clock can be right twice a day. So I give you Marjorie Taylor Greene, the former Congresswoman, who you know did her own smash and grab job with a $25 million glow up that she got over the 6 years that she served the people of Georgia. I think people are realizing it was all a lie. It was a big lie for the people. What MAGA is really serving in this administration, who they're serving, is their big donors. She ain't wrong. She is not wrong. And why? Why does Donald Trump want to nationalize? Well, why don't we take a listen to one of the Republicans on this roundtable as to, you know, the issues.
There was a major upset in the state of Texas, a district that Trump won by 17 points, flipped to a Democrat by 14 points, and now Republicans are ringing the alarm, Ron DeSantis among them, saying special elections are quirky, not necessarily projectable regarding a general election. That said, a swing of this magnitude is not something that can be dismissed. Republicans should be clear-eyed about the political environment heading into the midterms. There are economic issues, but there's also the state of Texas. 1 in 5 voters in that district is Hispanic. Trump has cratered in support among that demographic, potentially losing support in suburban areas as well. Are you worried for Republicans?
Oh, immeasurably, yes. I mean, it is inconceivable to me how you can turn immigration into a Democrat issue literally in a couple months. In my home state of Minnesota, where fraud was the #1 issue to get out the governor, they front-end loaded fraud, made the governor resign, came on the tail end of that with immigration, and turned it into a Democrat issue. It's almost as if the Republicans from D.C. were doing this by design in order to help the Democrats in my state. And I think that it's going throughout the country right now.
I'm curious.
Almost by design, he said. Well, I don't know if it's so much by design as it is the fact that you have a extraordinarily unpopular, criminal ass president and leader of your party who has sold out the very people that he said he was going to make America great again for. Instead, he has bailed out Argentina while screwing over the farmers of this country. He has decided to invade other countries in lieu of actually fixing shit in this country. And someone said something yesterday on a panel I joined. And they said, if the economy was actually thriving, no one would give a shit about ICE. And I agreed with them. If Donald Trump had managed to bring prices down, if Americans weren't suffering from inflation and his tariff bullshit on top of the joblessness, right? You have all of these companies that are now laying off tens of thousands of workers. People are unemployed, and guess what? They're not getting new jobs. And we're not talking about, again, the blue collar folks. We're talking about white collar middle management with secondary degrees. So if Donald Trump had managed not to fuck up the US economy, do you think that people would honestly be caring about ICE roaming the streets and killing people and brutalizing folks? I don't think that they would. But Donald Trump has managed to fuck everything up and not give his rabid base anything other than what? The prosecution of Black journalists? Are they supposed to subsist on the racism and brutality that he's been serving up? Does that allow their checks to go further? Does it allow their utility bills to come down that are now sky high because of the data centers that he's putting in? And then disallowing the states to actually regulate those centers and AI in general. What can Republicans who are running for re-election, what is it that they are actually running on? Donald Trump has given them absolutely fucking nothing. So it isn't that the Republicans are like, well, we'll just vote red no matter what. And it's not as if the Democrats, and I mean the establishment as a whole, are giving us, right, the great messaging for their candidates to run on. No, these people who are winning, who are flipping districts, are doing so on the strength of themselves and their authenticity and what they are saying they can offer. They're not being given, right, the talking points and the pathway forward by the establishment Democrats that just managed to once again help Republicans fund ICE. Because we know as a whole, at least the folks in damnation that watch this show, know that the establishment Democrats ain't doing dick. They are squandering every moment that they are being afforded. And so the reason why districts are flipping and that there may in fact be a blue wave has nothing to do with what the fuck Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries are offering or the mealy mouth fucking moderates are offering. And this is why I continue to say we're not going to vote blue no matter who, because I don't want another swath of quote unquote moderates. But because to be moderate in the time of extremism is to be an enabler to the destruction of our democracy. Pick a fucking side. There is no standing in the middle right now. The middle of what? The middle of this shitstorm? The middle of this godforsaken mess? I'm telling you, it is enough some days to just want to throw your fucking hands up, unplug all my devices, go live in the woods somewhere in a foreign country because I can't take this shit much longer. Truly. So, as I said earlier, the Clintons are going to testify. When is this going to happen? Hillary Clinton is going to testify before the House Oversight Committee on February 26. And Bill Clinton will appear on February 27. It will mark the first time that lawmakers have compelled a former president to testify. For months, the Clintons resisted subpoenas from the committee, but House Republicans, with support, once again, with support of a few Democrats, because again, no one will throw you under the bus faster than the establishment Democrats, because they don't ever stick together. That's the thing that I can say that Republicans consistently do. Even if it takes them over a cliff, they're going to be in lock fucking step. Democrats, however, you can't trust them as far as you can fucking throw them. So Speaker Johnson, Little Johnson, says that he has put the contempt of Congress on pause while they await for the testimony of the Clintons. I just want to remind folks that Hillary Clinton ain't new to this. She testified before Congress for 11 hours, and they got nothing. Nothing. If anyone has ever heard Bill Clinton speak, you know that that motherfucker is known to go off script. But there's another thing, is that he's really smart too. I have my own issues with the both of them together and separately. But if the House Oversight Committee thinks that they are going to pull some type of Scooby-Doo and rip off the mask and say, look, it's the Clintons at the center of the Epstein files and not the man that's been mentioned 38,000 times. And if they think that that's what's going to distract the American people from the fact that this country is in a fucking tailspin that just keeps getting faster and faster and lower each and every day, think again. It may be good old chum for their rabid base, but for the majority of people, no one gives a fuck about the Clintons. And it's because they're not the ones sitting inside the White House right now. They have zero power. But like I said, if you two have been a part of the cover-up, y'all should go down. But not before this current fucking pedophile in chief. Allegedly. Speaking of which, maybe pictures of naked children being released by the Department of Justice doesn't raise eyebrows in this country, which the Department of Justice absolutely did in this 3 million file dump. Not only did they release sexual assault images of children that were unredacted. They also released the information of victims, their current addresses, their full names, etc. Oh, all of it accidental. You know who actually takes pedophilia and child pornography seriously? Evidently the Europeans, because they're actually doing something about it. Paris prosecutors summon Elon Musk after raid on X's French offices. Prosecutors in Paris said they asked Elon Musk to appear for questioning as part of an investigation into the distribution of sexual deepfakes and Holocaust denial content after searching X's offices in the French capital early Tuesday. The search was carried out by the prosecutor's cybercrime unit in partnership with the French police's own cybercrime unit at Europol, the office said on X. A voluntary summons was issued for Musk and former ex-CEO Linda Yaccarino to appear and answer questions about the platform's adherence to French law. Because you see there, they actually have laws that they enforce. And just FYI, Grok doesn't create this shit on its own. It's fed these things by real life men, FYI. Grok isn't just out there just shooting this content into the universe without men feeding it the content that they want to see. So I love the fact that so many outlets wanted to blame Grok for sexually explicit materials that were being distributed and not the men that were operating this fucked up AI system that was created by a fucked up individual known as Elon Musk. I go on. The prosecutor's office said it was investigating potential criminal offenses, including complicity in the possession and distribution of child pornography images, the violation of personal rights through the generation of sexual deepfakes, the denial of crimes against humanity, and the alleged fraudulent extraction of data from an automated processing system as part of an organized gang. The voluntary interviews with the managers should enable them to explain their position on the facts and, where applicable, the compliance measures envisaged. Yes, the prosecutor's office said in a statement. So they're actually in France trying to get to the bottom of things as it pertains to Elon Musk's fucked up Grok creation. Okay? Because this is an AI creation that his minions, who are just as sick and twisted as him, are manipulating to get these sexualized deep fakes and Holocaust denying content. When he came to Twitter and got rid of all the rules and regulations because let freedom ring. On top of which, just FYI, in the UK, police have opened up a criminal investigation into politician Peter Mandelson over alleged leaks to Epstein. Just FYI, British police on Tuesday opened a criminal investigation into politician Peter Mandelson over alleged misconduct in public office related to his relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The UK government says newly released Epstein files suggest Mandelson, a former cabinet minister, ambassador, and elder statesman of the governing Labour Party, may have shared market-sensitive information with the convicted sex offender a decade and a half ago. So you see, in the UK, they're going to investigate the politician whose name appeared in connection with, instead of just saying, well, there's no harm in partying with Epstein. They're like, let us get to the bottom of what this motherfucker was up to, shall we? Since you've been mentioned so many fucking times. Yeah, that's what they're doing in the UK and in France. Do you know what else the French are doing? Just another sign of the reordering that is happening that excludes the United States. France dumps Zoom and Teams as Europe seeks digital autonomy from the US. This is from the Associated Press today. In France, civil servants will ditch Zoom and Teams for a homegrown video conference system. Soldiers in Austria are using open source office software to write reports after the military dropped Microsoft Office. Bureaucrats in a German state have also turned to free software for their administrative work. Around Europe, governments and institutions are seeking to reduce their use of digital services from US big tech companies and turning to domestic or free alternatives. The push for digital sovereignty is gaining attention as the Trump administration strikes an increasingly belligerent posture toward the continent, highlighted by recent tensions over Greenland that intensified fears that Silicon Valley giants could be compelled to cut off access. The objective is, quote, to put an end to the use of non-European solutions to guarantee the security and confidentiality of public electronic communications by relying on powerful and sovereign tool, the announcement said. We cannot risk having our scientific exchanges, our sensitive data, and our strategic innovations exposed to non-European actors. David Emile, a civil service minister, said in a press release. So there you have it. The world is reordering itself without the United States. And this is going beyond the politics deep into the pockets of American businesses that don't just do business in the United States. No, these are global companies. And now Europe is looking at big tech and saying, yeah, nah, we're good, because we don't trust that what we have put into your platforms is actually going to remain under lock and key, because you have shown yourself to be amenable to whatever it is that Donald Trump wants. So if Donald Trump says, I want access to France's Zoom accounts, or I want access to Germany's Teams accounts, we all know Bill Gates and whoever owns Zoom will be, yeah, boss, sure, boss, whatever you need, boss, because guess who was on the dais on Inauguration Day? All of those big tech CEOs. So if I'm a foreign country, why the fuck am I going to trust you? Folks, this is all just the beginning of America's end. America is done. The American empire is crumbling right before our eyes. And what I said last year when I was in conversation with Jared Yates Sexton, which I will be again, as I am on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern on the Damn Digest on my Substack, is that when I was learning about the fall of Rome, the fall of European and Chinese empires, it never occurred to me that people were still living and existing during the falls of these empires, that they were having to piece together their lives in the rubble of these fallen nations and empires. Because the way that history has always written it is like, oh, Rome fell and then the British Empire popped up, and then the British Empire fell and then this popped up. They don't tell you about the in-between times. They don't tell you about what is actually happening to the people. And now we know. Because we are living inside of the rubble. And the strikes keep coming. Before I close out today and head into Town Hall Tuesday, I saw an interesting thread that I wanted to share with you as we make our way to Super Bowl Sunday. And you know that Super Bowl Sunday has become this huge controversy because white America, white MAGA America, is racist as fuck, right? And so I saw this thread and I wanted to share it with you because we are going to see the politics of art on Sunday, much in the same way that we saw artists stand up for immigrants and stand against ICE at the Grammys and use their platforms, their short winning moments to talk about unity and humanity and against hatred and fascism. Bad Bunny has never shied away from politics and the colonization of Puerto Rico. He has used his platform to weave the two beautifully. And so there's a post that I saw by Mike Madrid, and he has a Substack where the full story is that I want to share with you. And he writes this: Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show isn't controversial because of anything he will say. It's controversial because of what he is. In America in 2026, presence itself is political. Standing at the cultural center now carries new meaning. Half of the country will rage, not because of lyrics, staging, or speeches, but because the most American of stages is celebrating a Spanish-speaking Latino who refuses to assimilate linguistically or culturally. Spanish, uninterrupted, at the center of American life. This is the shift people are reacting to. Politics no longer follows culture. Politics is culture. Every choice is read as a signal. A Latino artist performing entirely in Spanish isn't entertainment. It's a statement, whether intended to or not. Like all Latinos in this moment, Bad Bunny doesn't need to explain himself. His presence does all the work. What people are confronting isn't a performance. It's the reality that the cultural center of America has moved. And it isn't asking permission. The piece is up now by Mike Madrid, The Politics of Bad Bunny, on his Substack. And I thought that it was just brilliantly stated. All right, dear friends, get your questions ready because that is it for the Danielle Moodie portion of this Tuesday show. We are now headed into Town Hall Tuesday for the next 10 minutes. So if you have a question, type out question in all caps, followed by your question. And it could be about anything that I covered today or anything that you're just curious about. And I will do my very, very best to answer it. So without further ado, let's get into Town Hall Tuesday. So while I am on the hunt for your questions, oh, here we go, Daisy. Thank you so much. Question: do you have a favorite Winter Olympic event? Oh, such a good question. I would say snowboarding. And I like figure skating, but I get terrified to watch it. I'm so worried every time somebody's tossed up in the air or does a leap that they're going to break their entire face open, and then we're going to have that horrible memory. But I do like the Winter Olympics. I don't love winter. But yeah, I would say snowboarding, figure skating, speed skating. I also really like. Yeah. Philip, question: do you know about the octopus murders? A journalist was suicided. Is that a term? In 1991 because he dug too deep. Well, Philip, fuck. No. Now I'm going to have to Google, won't I? Unless you want to tell me if there's some type of documentary or book to read. Other questions. Question: will you read Burn Down Master's House by Clay Kane? I probably will. I actually spoke to Clay over the summer when he was at a friend's party and was telling us all about the book, and I was excited by it, and the cover and the rollout is of the moment. So yes, I will. Maybe I'll even try and get an interview with him. Good question. Question: how's Jamaica doing? Jamaica Ghostface Killer is the recovery is slow. My uncle says, there are ports that are still not open. My family is still working to organize barrels to be sent to Jamaica. It has just been, it's devastating. What's crazy though is that I do know people that have still been going on holiday there. So I would assume that some parts of the island obviously were not directly hit, but the damage is really severe and great. And of course, we move on in this country. But as I get more information about ways to support and help that are directly coming from my family and other entities, I will let you folks know. Thank you for that. Oh, such a good question. Sherry, question. Hi, Danielle. A simple question for you. It's Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. So curious, when was the last time you read Sojourner Truth's Ain't I a Woman? It's quite applicable again. Thanks. Well, shit. I may just decide to read it. When was the last time? My God, it would be years and years and years ago. Things that I'm reading right now, I'm reading a lot of Audre Lorde. I'm reading a lot of James Baldwin, as I usually do. I'm also reading some fiction because I need a mental break. But yeah, there's a lot of, I'm like digging into old, like not as celebrated or mainstream writings of Dr. Martin Luther King right now. Yeah. Good recommendation. Thank you, Sherry. Christine. Question: do you think those new encampments being built will house more than just illegal immigrants? Yep, I said it the other day. They're looking to build encampments that house what, 80,000 people? You think that there are going to be 80,000 undocumented people in there? I don't think so. There's going to be dissidents. There's going to be dissenters. There's going to be journalists. There's going to be those that they decide to label as terrorists and a threat. So yeah, no. Dab question: are you getting concerned about the CBA negotiations and the WNBA? As I'm wearing my WNBA sweatshirt, and possible strike. Am I getting concerned about it? No. Do I think that it's going to happen? 100%. I think that the WNBA, they had a negotiation, they had a meeting yesterday, and the WNBA showed up with no proposal, showed up with no response to any of the demands that they are not taking this seriously, because they still believe that these women have nowhere else to go in the midst of the Unrivaled 3-on-3 season, where Unrivaled as a business structure, as a league, is showing how you can center players, pay them, right? Respect your audience, and like utilize social media in such an incredible way that their growth is through the roof. And I said this today on Instagram. I said, you know what? In like one of the comment sections, I said Unrivaled, right, which is the professional women's 3-on-3 basketball league that is in its second season. I'm like, they should just announce that they're going to be doing a special 5-on-5 for the summer, because I do believe that the WNBA is going to go on strike. And I do believe that they need to get rid of their fucked up commissioner. So those are my thoughts. Thanks for the question. Question: do you think Nicki Minaj will go on an apology tour after this? I mean, she can, but it's going to be empty, because I don't know who she going to apologize to that's going to accept her apology. She is a sellout and she is disgusting. And the fact is, evidently, everyone inside of the industry, Little Kim and others, said, just wait. Nikki will reveal herself to you, and you will see what all of us said. So many of the elder women, female rap MCs were said to be haters because they didn't want to fuck with Nicki Minaj. And they're like, just wait and see. They didn't need to badmouth her, didn't need to do a whole thing. She just showed her entire ass. So she can go on an apology tour. It'll be a MAGA tour, because ain't nobody I know gonna go on it. Looking for more questions. Where else in the world would you consider living and thriving? Literally anywhere. But I did tell you all that I did love Kenya. I really did, and I'm very excited to go back and explore more of the country. It felt so wonderful to be there. So that is a place that I'm definitely considering spending more time in. So we'll see. Googly Bear. Question: you have a powerful voice. Do you sing karaoke? I have quite literally the worst singing voice. And I hate karaoke. I only do it when I've had too much to drink, because that's the only time I ever find karaoke to be fun. Hilarious question. Latasha, question: are you worried about your safety after what happened to Don? Yes, I'm worried about my safety all the time. It's why I leave the country as often as I do these days. Whenever I have the opportunity to get a bit of a break and get some distance, I do so, because I am worried, and I tell people that on a regular basis. I don't have a team of lawyers. I'm not wealthy. This show, the work that I do is all people powered. And I'm absolutely terrified. There are nights when I sit in my apartment and I hear, footsteps and I freak out, wondering if it is ICE or wondering if it is the feds coming to get me and disappear me. I think about this shit all the time. When I tell you that I've been suffering from anxiety and insomnia, it's why I leave the country to kind of level out my nervous system and then return. Yes, I am worried. I'm very worried. I worry every day. Question: do you think Trump will try to close the Blackstonian? Is that what you call it? In an attempt to really rile up Black people to get them protesting en masse to trigger the Insurrection Act? I mean, he's already pretty much fucking dismantled it. Gus is referring to the Smithsonian for the Black Smithsonian, and he's already dismantled it and is doing away with any mention of slavery, this, that, and the other thing. So I think that he'll do any number of things to try and rile up and get Black people in the streets so that he can shoot us dead, and then trigger the Insurrection Act. That's why I tell people to stay woke. Right. Question. Danielle, if my family and I can travel from Ohio to Minnesota to stand in solidarity, why can't our politicians do the same? I value my and my family's life just like they do. Your thoughts. And that's what I said. I said that yesterday. When I heard that uh Hakeem Jeffries was telling his caucus not to go to Minnesota because it was quote unquote dangerous, I was disgusted. I'm like, what about the people that are in Minnesota, the people that live there, right? That are fighting for their lives and their liberty. And, what? Like, you cannot lead from the back. And that is exactly what Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have been doing. And so you ask valid questions. And that's why when I do see politicians that are doing the right thing, like Joaquin Castro did in going to Minnesota to fucking get Liam Ramos and his father, like I see Ilhan Omar out there with her constituents, right? Linking arms, like you see AOC, right? Speaking truth to power, and Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders going where the people are, whether it's on a strike line or at a protest, because they're real leaders. So, yeah, it makes me sick. I'll take 2 more questions. Sandy, how is the book coming? So, I have decided to rework my book proposal because like I said the other day, I'm a political writer, right? And I'm a commentator. And what I write usually about is of the moment. And it's really has been difficult for me to think about. A book process is about an 18 to 24 month process in terms of writing a book proposal, getting it picked up, and then actually writing the book and then it being on shelves, right? Like that's the process. So you have to think about if politics shifts on a hourly basis, what is going to be resonant that today that is also going to resonate to a year and a half from now. So that's kind of where I am, is looking at these bigger themes and these bigger parallels and moments and moving away from just focusing on Trump, which is what I was initially doing. So it's coming. It's coming along, and hopefully I will have more news for you guys in this spring. But keep putting out good vibes and prayers and juju for me. Thank you, Sandy, for asking that question. Oh, this is a good last question. Norma. Question: in the 1980s, when kids my age and younger started, okay. In the 1980s, when kids my age and younger suddenly started disappearing, the milk carton campaign started. Do you think that sudden trend might be connected to this network? I never thought about that. So I'm going to have to think about that more. What I do think about is what did happen to the kids that were disappeared, the women that were disappeared. Because again, if we can't get these stories to be front page news, then did anyone give a shit about those kids? Did they just consider them runaways, right? And just move on because the police were tied to the politicians, that were tied to the business people, that were tied, you know? Ooh, Norma, good question. Um, all right, dear friends. I am going to oh God, y'all still here. And I just realized we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes. I love this for us. Thank you so very much for all of your really great questions today for today's town hall. I enjoyed them and being in conversation with all of you. So tomorrow is Wednesday. I'm going to make sure from now on that I don't mess that up. Tomorrow is Wednesday, which means that I am live on Substack on the Damn Digest with Jared Yates Sexton at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for our show, The Check-In. And then I will be live at 3 p.m. Eastern with Waj for the midweek democracy-ish that we do on Substack. That will also be at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then finally, dear friends, I am back here at 5 p.m. Eastern for the Danielle Moodie Show. So there are 3 opportunities to kick it with me on Wednesdays. 2 of them are on Substack at the Damn Digest, and the other one is right here. So, pick a place, pick your poison. Join me for all 3, join me for 1, join me for 2. But I hope that you join me. And friends, as I said, this show is people powered, as is my Substack. So without your support, I would not be able to do the work that I believe I am called to do. So before I get out of here, I always want to take the opportunity to shout out the people that are supporting me. And again, everything that I do is free. So if you do not have the resources to give a super sticker or a super thanks or become a member of the YouTube channel or become a subscriber to the Damn Digest, know that you will never miss anything. But if you do have the ability to do that, do consider becoming a paid member of the channel or of my Substack. Again, my work is people powered. I'm not supported by any corporate entity. So Electron Creations, thank you so much for becoming a member for 3 months. And I really, really greatly appreciate you. Susan, our fabulous moderator, gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Susan. Bridget coming in with the euro. Thank you so much for the $11.99. And no, I'll never forgive the Trump voters either. PJ, always coming in so big, and I greatly appreciate your commitment to the channel and to my voice with your $199.99. Valerie, thank you so much for the $19.99. Susan, on top of gifting a membership, your $10 goes a long way. Thank you, Gato, for the $1.99. Every dollar counts. D, thank you so much for the $4.99. All of the MAGA apologists are useless. You're 100% right. Polly, thank you so much for the $19.99. BDA Mama, thank you so much for the $10. Mad Ren, thank you so much for the $20. Eternal Energy. Classic house music song of the day. Joy Cardell, Imperfect. Ooh, I'm gonna go Google. I'm gonna go Google it. You know that I love house music so much. It resonates deep in my soul. Ernst, thank you so much as always for the $5. Matt, thank you so much for the $10. Republic, thank you so much for the $10. Pass the Joints became a member for 3 months. Appreciate you. Also read The 400-Year Holocaust by Dante King. I will put that on my list. Sherry, thank you so much for the $10. Do you have Super Bowl plans? I do. I hang out with my family for the Super Bowl. We make food, we order food, we drink cocktails. It is a good time. And Sandy, thank you so much for the Canadian $5. And finally, Bishy, thank you so much for the $20. You all are absolutely, quickly. Cymash, thank you so much for the $20. Folks, you all are absolutely incredible for hanging in with me for nearly 90 minutes on this Supersize the Danielle Moodie Show. As I said, tomorrow you got 3 chances to watch me, so do check me out. Otherwise, I'll see you back here tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Danielle Moodie Show. As always, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. I will see you back here. Appreciate you. Take care of yourselves and take care of those around you. Be well.